I'm probably going to get this wrong. I know it's one of the two bros, but I noticed the Zanmato account was active again. I believe this one belonged to Vortex. It's either Vortex or Luciferon that owns this account. But I noticed that they have been playing some pub games. That's where they're doing their grinding, not on their official one, but on this instead. And they're playing against Give You Anxiety. So you know what? The introduction is done. I don't need to be here anymore. Let's get into the game. All right, let's see how exciting this one's going to be, because it is going to be China versus Delhi on Hill and Dale. That was the interesting part. Not only the fact that I saw that the Zanmato account was active again, and GUA, God bless him, hadn't private his data. It's the fact that it was on Hill and Dale between these two civs, because it has to be said that while Delhi was kind of reigning supreme for quite a while, after the recent nerfs, there has been a little bit of a change in the win rate, if I recall correctly, on Hill and Dale specifically. And also, I think China's a little bit on the rise. Like, a lot of the issues got fixed. It's still, in some people's eyes, a weak-ass nation that needs to be buffed still. But it has some potential, especially here on this map, especially if you play into the Barbican the Sun Rush, right? Because you build so damn quickly. It can be really potent. So yeah, I think in this game, like, it's possible as well against the Delhi that we do see an outpost rush out of a Chinese player. Because I think Delhi, like, sometimes they do try to get a little bit greedy. They hold on. They don't drop Iraqs that quick. I think if you're in this matchup, though, like, Vortex or Luciferon, whichever one it is, has to have seen what China can do on this map and has to be somewhat prepped and ready with an early kind of Rax drop someone to pad himself. But, I'm theory crafting. I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting a little bit too excited about the potential for, like, an outpost rush. I know what kind of sick human being am I. But I have to say, like, when I've been seeing it out of China, the way they do it is phenomenal. So the whole concept of the strategy is, like, you outpost rush your opponent, you pin them in, and then they waste so much time burning for your outpost, which you made trivial investments in building up long enough to just get Barbican the Sun on the front line. They waste so much time getting through all that you essentially back in your base in the meantime, build the other feudal landmark. You get your Imperial Academy, you get like a second TC, and you boom your economy while they're just being stripped apart in their own base by a retinue of arrows and hand cannons firing upon them. We'll see which way it goes in that regard. Vision-wise, nobody's got eyeballs on each other's base just yet. Understandable. I expect around like the 5-minute mark. That's when they'll probably shift in, because that's when you want to understand what your opponent is up to, so you can kind of make that flip transition. As it stands right now, we already do see that Give You Anxiety's moved out onto the deer line. One of the benefits of playing Hill and Dale, of course, is a condensed pocket of different resources, and that means that instead of just putting a mill near a berry bush line and dragging all the sheep over, you can go for the much more valuable deer, and then also supervise because it's in range easily for the Imperial official to keep going back and forth between the TC. Something that has become more valuable, by the way. Something that has actually also allowed a lot of Chinese players to ignore gold veins, at least into feudal. I'm not going to go crazy here. They can't ignore it all game, but it is kind of the return of that. It's like a pseudo of what the Rus used to do, right? It's like, I don't need anyone on gold. It just allows you to just fully focus your eco. It also means you get more value, more bang for buck from an Imperial official. Because all of a sudden, instead of like you needing 3 Imperial officials for wood, gold, and food, you only need 2. And in the meantime, they can just bounce back and forth, bringing in these giant chunks of change. Because remember, they buffed the tax. So instead of collecting 20 and bring it back, you now get 40 and bring it back. Speaking of gold lovers, Zanmato will now go into the mosque. A little bit of a later timing on this. He got everything else up first, right? He even got the gold vein. Like, he's not trying to prep himself for the quickest unlock on the techs. And I wonder if this is because he was trying to pad himself in case he came under fire. So he wanted that kind of wiggle room to maybe go for racks if he saw the aggression. But looks like he should be chill. So many sheep coming in. So GUA definitely going to inflate his economy a decent amount. Now, here's the critical moment. GUA as the resources. Does he run across the map? I think not. I think when people do this strategy of like dropping the forward Barbican, they start off with an outpost, and then they extend it to 2, and then they drop the Barbican near the first outpost. And it's essentially like a strong arm. It's like a very powerful posturing tool that denies your opponent. Because an outpost, I can burn that down. What do you do? A Barbican the Sun is, yeah, good luck, have fun, go next game. So I don't think there's going to be a worry about that kind of cheesy maneuver, which does intrigue me as to what the Chinese player is going to do. Because I have to say, like, while there are other options for China on Hill and Dale, I feel like it is definitely the most potent one that I've been seeing. Maybe I've just been watching too much B. I know that guy absolutely loves to do it, so big shout out to him. It's going to be Rax drop, so He's actually paranoid. Gio's paranoid that it's going to be the Delhi player getting aggressive, which is understandable. The Delhi, with the escalation off the back of berry bushes, their desire to control these sacred sites, have been known to frequently drop a stable now and push out the horsemen and feudal age. So it looks like Gio is just prepping himself to play a very kind of condensed style, but he's not going to look to just sit back. Instead, he wants to get out on the field, which is why he's also going to the archery range. And I think, if anything, like, this could still be a Barbican play, because the cool thing about this composition is it's very feudal aggressive for GUA. It's not about raiding, but it's more about, like, staging a strong point, right? Like, you want to try and get a foot in your opponent's base and hold it. And the cool idea behind this with the Spears and Archers is if you do manage to hold it, you can then move 1 or 2 villages forward, drop a Barbican Sun on your opponent's side, and then you're still going to get the benefits of Song Dynasty with a Barbican Sun that's going to be very useful. I think that that ability unlocks when you do this composition, because otherwise, like, say you just had Spearmen or you just had Archers, it would heavily suggest that GUA was planning a Castle Age timing, and his Barbican would be very defensively positioned in his base. But everything that he's doing right now suggests he doesn't care about defenses. There's no walls going up. There's no forward Barbican at the front of his base. Instead, there's a hard shift out towards these sacred sites, understandably, which you have to contest because the Delhi player will be playing hard into them quickly. You can see already Sanctity is being researched. Just under 3 minutes left until it's there. And that's when Zanmato, he wants to be out on the map. He wants to be grabbing those. Because remember, the Delhi, they do get an additional 50% gold trickle. By default, you get 100 gold per minute from a sacred site being captured and held. But the Delhi, used to be you got an extra 100 because you got 100% increase. Now it's 50% increase, which is still a healthy big chunk of extra cheddar going in your pocket. I mean, if you hold all 3 sacred sites, that's your gold for your tech up in the castle within 4 minutes. And here we go, GUA into the base. Now, does he pull a villager? That's the question. Because you have to be considerate in this situation. Like, he's posturing. There is no blacksmith, so it's definitely not a quick ram rush play. But he's continued to churn out the troops, and he's supervising it as well. So this is escalating. And he's going to shift his opponent off his wood line. And this is going to starve Zanmato. Look at the composition he's gone for. Archery range and racks. Both of these units require wood, and he has no access to wood. Oh, no. GUA has double the military force as well. And he has to go. The shivs are out. He has to fight here. This is going to cost Zanmato dearly. GUA, such a heads-up play. The power of Chinese feudal age cannot be underrated, and he shows you exactly why. This is crippling. You have barely any units. You have no wood to work with, no surplus, which means you can't even get a defense force out right now. You can get no outposts. You can get no archers, no horsemen. You can get nothing. Everything requires wood. I say this time and time again. Wood is the critical ingredient. So many games. If you want to beat your opponent, I feel like it's more important than most other things, right? Like, you know, outside like French with their knights, which is food and gold, most civs have some sort of crutch element to needing wood. Either for outposts to defend themselves, palisades to wall themselves in, or in these situations, needing spearmen or archers, which both require wood. Even horsemen would require wood. So this is actually a really smart play, but GUA is going to have to ramp it up because Zanmato has made his way across to the backup wood line, and this wood line is going to be padded. A lot harder to reach because of the location of the TC. Archers, in the meantime, going to find a few more stragglers, and he's denying the gold as well. I feel like Zanmato is really heavily crippled right now. AK Vortex, AK Lucifron, I mean, I don't know which one it is. Do we ever know which one it is? For all we know, they could just switch on a given day. This is where it could get interesting, you know? Like, if they just both go for the bald look, they could trick us. They always trick us with their smurfs. But GUA, I mean, this is a strong position. Is this going to be the forward maneuver? Still no villager being pulled just yet. But is there a... There it is. I was about to say, there's got to be a blacksmith. If there's no villager, there's got to be a blacksmith. So blacksmith is down. And siege engineering is accessible already for GUA. He has surplus. And this, I mean, he could just shut Zanmato out right now. This is worst case situation. The Delhi, they have no map control. You can see GUA, he's positioned a unit on a few of these sacred sites. He had them originally in the center as well, just in case Zanmato sneaks out. Zanmato has a very limited defense force as it stands, and it's only archers is the bigger concern as well. So as long as you keep a nice bulk of archers, you can build these rams and everything's answered because Zanmato, as it stands, can only build archers or spears. One is terrible at dealing with rams, the other is terrible at dealing with archers. And I believe it should be underway right now. No, he's going for the steeled arrow first. Okay, that's fair. I'd say, like, my idea is jumping the gun a bit, right? Like, oh my god, I need to end the game right now. Getting the steeled arrow will give him the edge. He'll keep that edge on his very sharp arrows. Let's move out. A little bit of reaction coming out as GUA should probably send 1 or 2 troops up to deal with that. Doesn't want to give the gold over. Then again, he might just barrel into his opponent's base. There it is. Siege Engineering is about to be complete. Only 7 seconds away due to the supervise just juicing this up so much quicker. Very effective tool there. Well played by GUA. And I don't think that Zanmaru is expecting this timing either. He maybe noticed the steeled arrow upgrade, but he wouldn't expect the second part to... And this is where Zanmaru might just find himself quite quickly pinched. Nice denial. Min-maxes the archer to make sure the sacred site isn't gold trickling in too quickly. The ram's now being built. Archer count's going to be spotted out. Scouts are going to reveal what GUA is doing. And now it's hunkered down and just outlast through the winter for Vortex here. But more spears, more archers coming. Supervision continues. Oh, GUA. Oh, whoa. Buddy, let's talk about the efficiency here. He's still supervising the blacksmith. That has no use anymore. So a little bit of a whoopsie days there. GUA not getting the most out of his economy as it stands. But definitely getting enough troops out. This is getting a little bit silly now. As it stands, GUA up at 37. Zanmaru trailing at the 26 mark. And the ram is going to wrap around to deny the wood. This is smart. Look at Zanmaru's numbers. Vortex, because he wants that all in, because he wants to go up into the castle age. He's only getting enough wood to float an army. He's putting everything else into gold and into food. And although he may get to castle, the question is what is he going to do when he arrives? Because as it stands, he's going to have no wood to work with. He's denied on the wood line. He moves away as the ram knocks on his door. And he has to go out now. He might go out of the game. Archer count in favor of GUA. GUA also having the additional damage, but that is a bigger problem for Zanmaru, as also the armor is with GUA. He got both the researchers, and both of them have not been taken by Zanmaru because he didn't have the wood to even get a blacksmith. Yes, the researchers are free, but the price of a mission is too high, and it means that Zanmaru is out-teched and outmassed. And boxed in on the north as well. No sneak out for him. No grab on the sacred site. He cannot afford anything. GUA, so surgical, catching Zanmaru off guard. I think so many people just forget how powerful the Chinese can be at this point in the game. Their ability to churn out troops much quicker than any other civ, in fact, because although you have military efficiency, which you can see now coming in for the Delhi, it's only 2 times efficiency. Meanwhile, this unit is not only great for your economy, giving you the extra 20% drop-off, but if you turn its sights on a production building, all of a sudden, you're pushing out the value of 3 of these buildings. And that's what's allowed him to reach critical mass. And you can see the insufficient wood. That's the critical detail. Zanmaru is going for the tech up. But is it enough, is the question. GUA wrapping around. And we're going with the archers as well. Villagers have got textiles, a lot harder to kill now. GUA gets split. It's going to cost him a bunch of archers. Needs the spearmen here to protect against the horsemen. Wrap around from the archers around the back. No! Zanmaru's out of position. GUA, he's under the eco. And he's under the villagers. And that's going to deny the tech up. And now the wrap around the backstab. The villagers out of position. All of a sudden, this is turning into a meat sandwich. But Zanmaru, I don't think there's enough meat here to overpower. I think the bread's going to be too damn good, at least on one side. As GUA, I mean, he's going to turn it into a calzone. He's going to wrap him up and eat him up. It's so simple, so trivial. The production rate of China is too strong, and GUA just makes it look so simple. Whew. Really well played, actually. Really quick game. I was curious if it was going to be due to something like a forward Barbican, but no, it was something as simple as archers. Just really well played. I think a lot of players, as I was saying, forget about, well, not even players, like, I don't want to call them out. I'm sure most of them know about it. But I think a lot of us viewers forget about wood being so critical to so many civs, and it's so easy to deny on some of these maps. And it's so well played the way that he done it as well. He exploits the fact that, if anything, like Zanmaru's being a little bit greedy with the forward wood line. It doesn't need to be forward. He could take the one behind his base. He could even warm himself in if he didn't want to play to this time, if he wanted to go later. But instead, it feels like is kind of trying to have his cake and eat it, right? He's trying to min-max his economy. He doesn't want to get early military units that could have built up palisades and defended him. And this is something I highlighted at the beginning of the game, remember, is a lot of these Delhi players don't quickly rush into their military bones at the moment, especially on maps like Hill and Dale. They try and time it around the feudal age because they want to have options. They want to see what their opponent is doing before they make their own choice. But that's where China can have an advantage because you can very stubbornly, just hard-headedly, hard commit into X and Y, because the difference between you and the Delhi is while the Delhi eventually get military efficiency and late game compared to the Imperial officials that are supervising, like it just outscales, right? Because you can have infinite number of Raxes with scholars in. At that stage in the game, you can't compare. You have to get military efficiency. You then have to buy the scholars. And those scholars, like, you know, yeah, you can get them cheap for 75, but it costs 45 seconds to produce them compared to the quick Imperial official production time. The Imperial official that you want to get out earlier because you get value in your economy as well. Like, all of it just speaks to the power of China at that timing in the Delhi matchup, something that GUA understood all too well.